I'm with Sara Granitza from Christian Friends of Yad Vashem. Now, Sara, what is Christian Friends of Yad Vashem?
Christian Friends of Yad Vashem is a part of the International Relations Division of Yad Vashem, where we are responsible for the fundraising of Yad Vashem. Yad Vashem's budget is built a third or a little more than a third from the Israeli government, and the rest, more than 70% from private donations. And today, we also work with the Christian world. The Christian Friends of Yad Vashem was established in 2006. It was the idea of the former director of the International Relations Division, Mr. Shaya Ben Yehuda, together with Reverend Malcolm Hedding, who was the president of the International Christian Embassy here in Jerusalem. And they decided that it's time that the Christian world and the Jewish world will work together. And they established, in partnership, the Christian Friends of Yad Vashem, or how the way we call it in Yad Vashem is the Christian Desk.
So it was really important to have a Christian Friends of Yad Vashem.
Absolutely. We all know the history of Christianity and Judaism, that much of the anti-Semitism in the world was originated in the churches in the past. Thank God we're living in a different generation, and we see a lot of cooperation, a lot of bridge building between the Christian world and the Jewish people. And when we know today that we're all God believers, we are Bible believers, and there is so much in common between us, between the Christian world and the Jewish world. I'm a Jew, I'm an Israeli Jew, Orthodox, and I feel so close to my Christian friends, and together we do great things. There's so much to educate for the younger generation, doesn't know much, and I think that by educating, we can ensure a better world for the future generations, and that's why we do what we do.
Now, next year, you're hosting a Christian leadership seminar on the Holocaust, anti-Semitism in Israel. Tell us a bit about that.
So, for the last 12 years, maybe, we have been having the Christian leadership seminar. It's a seminar that is for Christian leaders, pastors, educators, opinion shapers, entrepreneurs from around the world who come here to learn about the Holocaust and about the state of Israel. And when they go back home, they can become our ambassadors. Unfortunately, because of the COVID, it was canceled in the last 2 years, and we're really excited that this coming year in 2022, we will renew this great seminar. And we have now received many registration forms from many people from around the globe, great candidates. Unfortunately, we don't have a lot of room, so only 25 people will participate this year. But it's exciting. It's 8 days in Israel, in Yad Vashem mostly. They come here, they learn, they have lectures, but they also have tours on the Yad Vashem site in different parts of Yad Vashem. We also have tours in holy sites in Israel. And they also participate, I'll start differently, the seminar takes place during the week of the Holocaust Memorial Day in Israel. So this group will participate in the state ceremony that will take place in Yad Vashem in the presence of the President of the State of Israel and the Prime Minister and other diplomats, Holocaust survivors. So it's a very, very important and interesting day, and they will be a part of all that.
You get a lot of diplomats coming here, don't you?
Yes. Mostly a part of the Israeli protocol that when a diplomat comes to Israel, a part of their program in Israel is coming to Yad Vashem. I think no one can really understand the Jewish psychic and the state of Israel without knowing what happened during the Holocaust. Between 1938 or during the 30s in Germany and Europe, and until 1945 and 1946. And actually until the establishment of the State of Israel, because even when the war ended in 1945, there wasn't a Jewish homeland, and the Jews had nowhere to go, and many of the survivors stayed in a displaced persons camp. So all of that, those like 16 years from the beginning of the 30s, 1933, when Hitler came into power, until the establishment of the State of Israel, that's a chapter that has to be learned.
So where is this seminar taking place, and who are you running it with?
So the Christian Friends of Yad Vashem is doing this seminar in cooperation with the International School for Holocaust Studies in Yad Vashem. Yad Vashem is not only a museum. The museum is one component, but we have the school, and we also have an archives, and we have a library, and we have a research department. So Yad Vashem is a campus, an educational campus. And we're running this program with the school. The lecturers in the seminar will be educators from the school, as well as scholars from the research division of Yad Vashem.
Must be exciting to be able to bring people from all around the world.
Actually, it is. Some of the people are people that have been in touch with us for a long time, partners and supporters of Yad Vashem that are coming to participate and to learn more. And some are new that we have not met in the past, but people that have graduated from these seminars, we encourage them to forward the information to their friends and colleagues that they think might be interested and that they're good candidates. So this is a great opportunity for a new group to form and to enlarge the group of friends of Yad Vashem and to get more people involved.
Why is it important to get Christian leaders engaged in understanding the Holocaust?
Wow, that's a huge question and an excellent one. I'll start from the obvious. We see, unfortunately, anti-Semitism rising in the world. And I think a lot of anti-Semitism is because of lack of knowledge, ignorance. People really don't know much. And we can fight ignorance by education. We can fight anti-Semitism by teaching what it can cause. And when we all know where hate starts, we never know where it ends. I mean, seeing anti-Semitism in the beginning of the 30s wasn't something very new for the Jewish people or for the world. The world knew anti-Semitism in the past, all the pogroms in Russia in the 19th century, etc., etc. But no one could have imagined gas chambers, death camps. So, as I said, we know where it starts, we never know where it ends. That's why it's so important to stop it in the beginning, to educate for people to understand the impact hatred might have and where it can lead us. And to not to be only bystanders, but when you see things on social media, in campuses, in your community, to be proactive and to go against it.
Are you wanting them to leave here and spread the word about Israel and anti-Semitism today?
Yes, that's one of the things that we want. We also want people to invite me as the director of the Christian Friends of Yad Vashem to their communities to speak and to teach their people about this, for these leaders to have events around the Holocaust. You have special days like the International Holocaust Memorial Day, you have the Holocaust Day in Israel. There are dates. There's the November 9th, which is the date of Kristallnacht. Different dates along the year that you can have events, educational events. We have in Yad Vashem, we developed what we call ready-to-print exhibits. It's very, very easy to go into the Yad Vashem website, look at the different exhibits that we have, and choose one, and then you can print it locally. So there isn't much cost. You don't have to ship it. There is no insurance. And then you can have like a small event in your community. It could be in a school, it could be in a church, in a community center, and you can invite a lecturer and to have an event. And again, it's a social event, but also an educational event.
Is there a lack of knowledge in the church when it comes to the Holocaust?
I think so. We find that people don't know much, and especially the younger pastors, the younger generation, they hear a lot on the social media, and there's no real knowledge. And when they come here and they hear the lectures, they participate in discussions, they go through the museum, they go into our archives, they see the originals. After 8 days in Yad Vashem, learning the facts, they go back home with much more understanding, and they're much more ready to become a part of Yad Vashem and spreading the word.
What's the definition of anti-Semitism? Like, can you criticize or disagree with something that Israel does and that's not anti-Semitism, or what is the definition of anti-Semitism?
It's a very complex definition, and of course you don't have to agree with everything that the State of Israel does. I don't agree with everything that it does, and I'm an Israeli. But there is a huge difference between disagreeing and being anti-Semitic. Actually, one of the workshops that we have in the seminar is about modern anti-Semitism. When you see different caricatures in the newspaper, we will give you the tools to recognize if this is something that is legitimate, you can criticize, or is it something that uses anti-Semitic signs? And that's what we don't want to go. We don't want newspapers and very popular newspapers or websites to go against the Jewish people or the state of Israel in a different way. They analyze Israel differently than they would analyze another country that might also have issues. The fact that Israel is being discussed in the UN so often as not giving rights to its citizens, and when you compare us to other countries around the world, it's not exactly accurate. And we would like to give our participants the tools. They'll go back home, they're grown-ups, they'll make their own decisions. But we want them to understand what happened and what this can cause.
Is there a growth in anti-Semitism today, and where is it predominant?
I think you see it, unfortunately, all over the world. You saw it in England just a few weeks ago. You see it in Germany. You see it in other places in Europe, but unfortunately also in the United States. We saw many anti-Semitic voices during the COVID. Connecting between the Jewish people and the virus, that's something that we saw in the 30s. You wouldn't expect the modern civilized world in the 21st century to go into these dark places. And yes, it does. What disappoints me? Sometimes I would expect that, like the way that, you pass on, when you have children, you pass your genes on. I have green eyes, so my children will also have green eyes. I would expect my children to know what I know, but it doesn't work that way. And that's why we have to educate again and again, and in each generation. And in the Bible, it says, we are committed in the Bible to teach our children what our father went through, right? That's what Passover is all about. We sit every year on the eve of Passover, and we teach our children about the Exodus from Egypt. We have to teach our children, all of us, Jews and non-Jews, about what happened there and then. So God forbid, nothing like this will ever happen again, not to the Jewish people and not to any other nation around the world.
Is there still Holocaust denial today around the world?
I don't know how much Holocaust denial there is. Probably not much. But what there is and what we find is distortion. Distortion of the facts. And I mentioned earlier that in Yad Vashem, we don't only have a museum, we also have a lot of different departments. One of them is Research Institute. And one of the main issues that they deal with is making sure that the facts are accurate. And when we see different governments around the world trying to distort facts of what happened in their countries during the war, that's where Yad Vashem comes in. To make sure that these distortions, rewriting history is very dangerous. And that's what Yad Vashem comes in.
That must be very sad for the Holocaust survivors who are alive today and they hear distorted facts.
Absolutely. I can tell you that my father-in-law were Holocaust survivors, and my mother-in-law always said that she was from Poland, and she said, you can't say that there wasn't anti-Semitism in Poland before the war. Of course there was. Correct, the camps were built by the Germans, but the Poles were ready to accept it. So I'm not going into all the details and what happened there, but the facts have to be accurate. And that's one of the things that we make sure when we teach, we get the information from our research department. Actually, I would say that Yad Vashem has 3 pillars, major pillars. One of them is the archives, where we collect documents from other archives around the world, from survivors. It could be lists of deportations, letters, pictures, testimonies, artifacts. And then we have the research department, and then we have the school, where we have the seminars, as I mentioned, but we also have a lot of online education. Actually, since people couldn't come to Yad Vashem and we had to cancel our seminar, in the last year we have been running together with the ICEJ, the International Christian Embassy, together with Combat Anti-Semitism Movement, and with the Christian Leaders for Israel, American Christian Leaders for Israel, a webinar, 12 months webinar, teaching online about the Holocaust. But it actually started, the first 2 lectures were about Jewish life before the war, then the rise of Nazism, the Holocaust, and then life after the war. But we continue teaching, if it's online, if it's face-to-face, if it's lectures in the communities or here on the mountain.
So today, if people can't travel but would like to be an ambassador about the Holocaust, what can they do?
First of all, they can be in touch with us, and we will send them information. We will send them information about lectures, different lectures that we have online, and different courses that we have online. There is something that was developed by our school, which is called MOOC, Massive Open Online Courses, that you can register to that, and then you can learn different topics and different issues. Even you get credit in university for these courses in the MOOC. And you can go into our website, into the Christian Friends of Yad Vashem, in the Yad Vashem website, and be in touch with us, and we'll send you the information, and you can participate.
Why do you do what you do here?
I've been in Yad Vashem for many years. I started working here, the Deputy Director of the International Relations Division in 2003. My background is in high tech. I'm not a historian. I'm not a child of Holocaust survivors. First of all, in Israel, when you're offered a position in Yad Vashem, you never say no. It doesn't matter what it is, you go. It's one of the most important institutions in Israel, and I think in the Jewish world in large. And then when I was already here when they opened the Christian desk, and the first directors were Christians. The first one was a pastor. The second was Dr. Susanna Kokonan, very well-educated Christians. And when Susanna decided to leave and to move on, I was offered a position, and I thought that this is just so symbolic that we're in a stage where a Jewish woman can lead the Christian desk. It just shows how much the connection has been built, how much these bridges of friendship has been built, and I think it's a statement. Wow. I'm honored to be here.
What's your prayer for the future, for the next year's course?
First of all, I pray that we will be able to carry it out here in Jerusalem, and people will be allowed into the country, to fly and to come in. That's my first prayer, that it will be a success, that people will learn a lot and go back home feeling committed to the cause, and that we will continue working together.
And what's your website for people who'd like to know more?
Yes, they can go into the Yad Vashem website. You just click on Yad Vashem and in Google, and you go into the Yad Vashem website. You can go into Christian Friends of Yad Vashem and send us an email, and we'll be in touch with you.
Okay, Sarah, thank you very much.
Thank you. It was an honor.